Welcome to Earth.
After Earth, the latest film by laughingstock director M. Night Shyamalan, isn't quite as bad as most of the scathing reviews make it out to be. Even so, it's still a terribly made movie that falters with its own biggest asset, that being the father-son duo of Will and Jaden Smith. 1,000 years in the future, humanity has evacuated an ecologically ruined Earth and resettled on the planet Nova Prime. Unfortunately, an alien race has declared war on humanity and is attacking us with creatures called Ursas, which hunt us by sensing our fear. Will Smith plays Cypher Rage, the highest-ranking ghost in the Rangers, and Jaden Smith plays son Kitai Rage, who desperately seeks his father's approval. During a spaceflight to transport a captured Ursa, the ship that Cypher and Kitai are on crash-lands on Earth. With Kitai, a crippled Cypher, and the loose Ursa as the only survivors, Kitai must venture across the perilous forest to reach the tail end of the ship and find the emergency beacon so that they can signal for rescue. There are two arcs running through the film. Kitai proves his ability as a ranger, and Cypher finds it in him to finally show his son fatherly love. There are moments when Cypher seems genuinely worried and concerned about Kitai's safety, knowing that he could lose his only child at any moment. But these moments are too sparse to fully invest you, and neither arc is very engaging due to the limited tension and, more importantly, the lackluster acting from both Smiths. Jaden is convincing in scenes of pain and fear, including a tense scene of Kitai administering antitoxin for a venomous leech's bite, but otherwise he's painfully lacking in charisma. He's flat, awkward, and whiny. Will might be worse. Cypher is a ghost, meaning that he can suppress his fear to the point of becoming invisible to the Ursas, but Will's monotonous performance goes beyond the stoicism and emotional repression of his character and is thus incredibly wooden and lifeless. The stilted performances from both stars just take you out of the movie and make it difficult to care about their situation. Indeed, Will Smith looks bored for much of the movie, and that apathy rubs off on the audience. As for the dramatic tension, the threats aren't very pressing, and Kitai's mission in a hostile wilderness seems safer and easier than it should. Kitai is attacked a couple of times by wild animals, but he evades them simply enough, and the giant condor that initially caught him ends up saving his life in a very silly, Disney-esque moment of anthropomorphism and sentimentality. Back on the crashed ship, Cypher's legs are broken and bleeding out, but are taking too long to generate much suspense for most of the movie, rather like the T-virus in Resident Evil and its undefined rate of infection. The Ursa is loose in the forest, mutilating the animals and impaling the other surviving crew members, and there is an inevitable showdown between Kitai and the Ursa. I say inevitable because since Ursas hunt by smelling fear, and ghosts kill Ursas by masking their fear, you know how Kitai will change and win the day from the very start. With such a telegraphed resolution, and the Ursa being a transparent plot device, there is hardly any tension because you know, not expect, but know, what will happen. After Earth is a very slow, ponderously placed movie, and feels too easy and straightforward for Kitai, with fleeting obstacles and unlikely workarounds. The subplot of Kitai and Cypher both feeling guilt over the death of Kitai's sister Senshi, Zoe Kravitz, doesn't really go anywhere either. Still better than the truly abysmal The Host, After Earth is the second least compelling movie I've seen this year so far. The world of After Earth is very poorly conceived and full of contrivances, which negatively affect the drama. As I explained before, the Ursas and how they function makes the plot very predictable, as the fact that they are blind but hunt by smelling fear is a very blatant weakness that makes the resolution obvious. This is a badly designed monster that only exists in that way to set up the ending. The backstory detail of humanity fleeing an ecologically devastated Earth is incidental, as the story would not have been any different if set on an alien planet. Oblivion managed a much better evocation of a bygone Earth through its dilapidated buildings and landmarks and the memories they bring up in Jack. But After Earth has none of that. The familiar wildlife is the only aspect that identifies the film's setting as Earth. The film is not presenting any kind of environmentalist message. If anything, it appears to say that, if left on its own, nature is scary, so setting the film on Earth is pointless. Kitai must inhale vials to improve his oxygen intake at regular intervals, but they are another contrived device that doesn't appear to have any function other than to serve this particular scenario. If they had been used on Nova Prime to, say, increase athletic performance during Ranger training, those files would have had some context. Many people have already pointed out how the ecosystem in After Earth doesn't make sense, but it's worth repeating. 1,000 years, which is the length of time since humanity abandoned Earth, is less than an instant in the timescale of life, and not nearly enough time for giant baboons, man-sized condors, and neurotoxin-secreting leeches to evolve. It also doesn't make any sense when Cypher says that everything on this planet evolved to kill humans, as how can something evolve to hunt organisms that don't even exist in their habitat? After all this complaining, is there anything to like in this film? Despite the poor CGI, the visual design and cinematography are lush and appealing, and the climax, in which Kitai conceals his fear and slays the Ursa, is pretty exciting and has some rather beautiful symbolism relating back to how Cypher himself learned to ghost while fighting an Ursa. But it's not enough to save the film. Star Trek Into Darkness is poorly written, with convoluted enemy schemes, vague motivations for Khan, and a climax that rather lazily rehashes the ending of Wrath of Khan, but the screenplay was still serviceable. After Earth, however, has an atrocious screenplay that, coupled with its terrible acting from Will and Jaden Smith, will surely make it a Razzie contender for Worst Picture. Oh, mark my words, the host will win, but After Earth will definitely be nominated. After Earth earns 2 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.